Okay, here's a video review for, looks like a low gold game, this jungler Lundrity. First thing I want to take a look before the game are the runes and masteries. So, looks like you're going with attack damage, quints, armor penetration, reds, and cooldowns and armor. Basically it looks like from this tree, like from these runes at least, you're going for a lot of like mid-game power. Basically against ganks. And your masteries are kind of reflecting that too. You've got 12-18-0 with Thunderlords to basically increase your burst, rather than Fervor of Battle, which will increase your sustained damage in a fight. And so overall, these are not, like, this is not a bad combination of runes and masteries. I just think that it's, you should just understand that it's focused on your power against other characters, maybe in the first 20 minutes of the game, and then it'll fall off pretty strongly in the end game. Something overall on Kindred that I want to point out, I think it might show on here. Here. So your physical damage and your magical damage, it's mostly physical, but because you have Devourer, there's actually a significant amount of your damage is magic, and as the game progresses, as you get more Devourer stacks, I'd say a good 20% of your damage is magic, maybe 25. This one is showing that only about 1/6 of your damage is, but that's because it's including like the early game where you do 0 magic damage at all. So basically, I'm just pointing out that Devourer changes your magic damage. Anyway, basically what I'm saying is that Armor Pen is nice, but it's just not my personal favorite on Kindred. I do see some people take it, especially if they can get early stacks, but unless you're really good at getting stacks on Kindred, I would rather just see something focused on the early game with Kindred specifically. What I usually take is attack damage, reds, and attack speed, quints. I just think that it helps with the early clear a lot, but it's really up to you. This isn't a bad rune page. In the masteries, I'll have to look at your first clear, but what these masteries say to me is that you're going to be hurting during your first clear unless you take 3 potions rather than refillable. So you have refillable, and then you have biscuits. And yeah, that you get 10% more healing out of biscuits, but you don't get that 20% health and mana. And so I think that taking Secret Stash is actually kind of not the right thing to do with refillable potion. So we'll see. But might as well just get this Runic Affinity, which will increase blue and red buff by a lot, which will basically increase your healing because it'll allow you to kite more with Q hops, and it'll allow you to heal more from the red buff. Everything else in here looks fine. If you're going Thunderlords, that's, like I said, you're going for ganks, which is fine. So overall, I would say the runes are fine, masteries are fine, they're just basically probably more to your flavor than not. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look into the game. Okay, as this is loading, let me turn on only red side fog. Okay, you warded this, which means you have this entrance covered. I don't know who warded it. Lucian warded this, which means you have this entrance covered. You need to get this entrance to your jungle covered. I don't care who their level 1 start is. You need to have every entrance to your jungle covered, in my opinion. I think it's really lazy and really selfish to not at least just stand in this brush to see them. Their level 1 engage is not that good, but you still just never know. I mean, they could still just... Yeah. I want to see junglers covering both entrances to this blue buff area. Anyway. So you started W. You only have 10 stacks. You should have started W a little bit sooner. So you'll notice here that you only have 10 stacks, and you should have 100, unless it's a bug in the client. But with Kindred, you should start W at least at 120-ish, and then walk around consistently, so that you get a heal on your first attack. So it looks like you did that, it's just the client is bugged. Okay. Your kiting is decent. I would have taken maybe about 70 or 80 less damage from that. So your kiting is decent. Something that you should work on is auto Q, like so that you cancel the wind down animation of your auto. Even if it means not using your Q immediately on cooldown, getting that auto Q really helps with kiting, because you're canceling the cooldown animation of her auto attack. Ultimately, Kindred's got a pretty reliably good clear, even without having to really pay attention to the micro, but you get to make more aggressive moves if you can manage the clear. You're taking way too much damage from wolves. Yeah, that was too much. You're in a somewhat risky spot. Okay, the ward made that was a good ward, so that was fine. The fact that you were there was probably a good, like the fact that you dropped that ward made that a good play to make. Okay. I want to see something. So you're going for this gank. So like I said, up here, I probably would have had 70 more health from Gromp, and then by the end of Wolves, I probably would have been at the 550 health range. So focus on that kiting, because that would have made all the difference in this little gank here. Yes, he's out of position, but so is Lucian. Lucian's not in any position to help you on this gank. This is literally going to be a 2v1, you versus him versus her. And maybe Janet can come over, but he's too far back to really help in this gank. I think that you're too aggressively pathing forward. I would have gone for this gank because he is out of position, but I wouldn't have kept pushing forward. I would have kited away as I'm attacking him. And so I think that's your first mistake. Okay, another thing you did was you queued, but as Kindred you need to get in the habit, as soon as you commit to an attack, push W. So like do your first Q hop, then push W, so that it resets your Q. I think you would have had the ability to Q again out of this, and for Brand that's like most of his damage is this pillar in the early game. So if you queued out of the brush to engage on him, pushed to W immediately, first of all, then Wolf would have immediately started attacking him, and Wolf probably would have done about 100 damage during this fight. And then you could have queued out of this area, like you probably could have queued up here or over here and avoided this pillar. So Janna had to blow summoners. You got 2 summoners, but you died. I'd say that wasn't worth it. A big reason why is I think that your micro mechanics of handling the gank. You should have queued and then pressed forward. Let me turn the sound down. And now your bot lane is completely screwed. And Gragas took your whole jungle. So you have a really weak start now. I don't know if that flash was needed. It was a good spot to flash because you're gaining extra distance by flashing the wall. I want to see this. Okay, so you're trying to counter gank. That was the right decision, trying to get this counter gank to help Darius. Darius ultimately was just overextended. Not Darius, Vladimir. Vladimir ultimately was just overextended, and so, like, but it was good to be trying to help him. Definitely committing to just disengaging is the right decision. You flash really nothing. So, I like to hold flash to actually flash a move rather than just flash to gain distance. I think it's the difference between gold and climbing out of gold is just understanding how to better use flash. Both of these are on cooldown, so it's probably good to just preemptively flash. But if you start to see his wind up for his E, then it's a good time to flash. You know, you should have known, maybe not. Maybe you just weren't paying a whole lot of attention. But Gragas blew his body slam. He just got it up. So anyway, I think that flash it's not bad. It's good to flash the wall just to gain that distance. But yeah, overall, I guess it's not a problem. Gragas is super far ahead of you right now, though. It's kind of nice that you get to soak this EXP to catch up to him. That's nice. That's good. As Kindred, in a melee match up top, it's nice to, like, they often overextend on you and they don't realize how good she is at pursuing. That was a much better kited wolf camp. You don't need to go bottom. This is super pushed. Yeah, okay. So you were just going to get this. So far you've been really lucky on these. You got 3 scuttle crab marks. It's pretty lucky. You could have kited that a little better. At this stage in the game, it doesn't matter as much, because once you get both jungle items, Kindred's really healthy. Okay, this is a good gank to make. Unfortunately, Gragas also made the good gank. Darius is a little overextended, so this is a good gank. And he's been really aggressively extending, so it is good. Yeah, that was a good gank. I like that. Your pathing so far has been pretty strong. Okay, so here's something. Gragas has been super aggressive, which he deserves to be because he's ahead of you, and because, well, mostly he's ahead because you died at level 2, level 3. But basically, I really, it's a personal feeling. Again, it's kind of like your runes and masteries, but to go with the skirmisher's smite and sweeping lens is really risky. Yeah, Gragas is maybe medium threat, but I would just rather play with information, which means I would just rather have wards. It's personal. I like having wards a lot. I think investing into a sweeping lens and a not warding smite is probably a little overkill. Sweeping lens will help you gank, yes, but at the same time, people in gold don't really ward all that much. And so if you just pay attention to ward timers, you kind of know better, like, when to gank and stuff. It basically, yeah, I don't know. I think that, Gragas has your buff timers. Top lane had died, so Gragas probably wasn't going to make a move to your red buff, but you never really know, and I would have liked to have some wards to this entrance, or something, to help out with that red take, because he is, like, he does have you in his crosshairs. You can fight him. Now kite back. You should have kited back over the wall. Okay. Never mind, he didn't ult. That was nice. You got another mark for that. You should try and go take his jungle after you take this. If you get a kill on the jungler, you do not gain any lane pressure. Like, you can't take a tower, but what you could do is take the jungle. Probably gank Darius again would be a good try. He's not overextended, but you're up here anyway. Okay, so go take his tower. You should definitely help Vladimir. Just take his tower. Don't back. Just good. Your decision making. Nope. Take the tower. Get tower hits. Oh, you have a mark. Okay. I think you could have gotten the mark after the tower. But let's see. Okay. I don't understand why you want Rift Herald so much. The point of Rift Herald is to get a tower, right? Because that's what the buff does, is it makes your minions stronger. But this tower would have fallen without Rift Herald. So I think what I would have done is stayed here until the wave thinned out, and then he's going to have to back off. Like, so you guys are pushing on the tower with 5 minions. What I would have done was stayed here until the minion wave thinned down to 1, in which case he's going to have to back up and wait for a new wave. Then I would have gone and taken the wolves. And at which point, this would have had enough damage done to it so that this wave could have killed it. I think it was you peeled off of the turret too early, lost this turret, lost the, like, return gold. So basically Darius went bottom and helped out with gaining 1 kill, and then basically just took dragon. And so I would have liked to have seen that dragon return by getting a tower, and with a marksman in the top lane, you really had no excuse to lose this tower. And then this is, you don't have much to gain here. It's a selfish take. I mean, yeah, it's there. Your guys' mechanics on that was really bad. You're backing. Let's see what you buy. I'm not really paying attention to your goal. Okay, you backed to get Devourer, so that's fine. I would have liked to have seen these camps been taken before backing, but because you want a Devourer as soon as possible, it's fine to back without taking camps. That was good. So you saw him trying to gank. You're positioned for the counter gank, and then instead you just engaged. And you know that you're stronger than him, which is, so I think that was a really good fight to take. This is not. Okay, you had to blow ult, but you got the kill. If Brand had stunned you, you wouldn't have been able to blow ult. Also, why are you backing? You have 600 health, 500 health. You've got 3 camps sitting right here, and a shitload of wards right here. This is a super safe jungle for you to take. And with Devourer, you need to really be focused on taking camps very quickly and efficiently. And you, with Hunter's Potion and Boots of Swiftness to help with the kiting, you could take these camps and actually heal from all of them. So backing here is a waste of time. You're gonna lose. You're basically setting back sated by at least a minute by skipping these 3 camps now. And as Kindred, you should be aiming to get sated by about 17 minutes. So you literally backed to get a longsword and a Megatron cloak, and a null magic, which is, that was a really inefficient time to back. They're fighting here, but you're never going to catch them. You're losing the opportunity to gain camps. Their team is half health, so they're not going to fight this. Your team doesn't have an engage source, So you don't need to be fighting this. Overall, you guys win the fight, but I don't really like that that fight was chosen in the first place. I guess because Darius was mid, you felt obligated to be mid. It wasn't a really terrible decision, but you've had Devourer now for almost 3.5 minutes, and this is the first camp you've taken since getting Devourer. So sometimes you gotta ask your team to slow down. It'll be in their better interest in the long run. You're probably now not going to get sated until at least 20, which is a 3-minute trough in your power that's really going to hurt. But you need to understand also, their team doesn't really have engage. They cannot force a fight. That was a good gank to take, especially with Dragon being up. So I would say about 80% of your pathing is strong. Take Scuttle Crab. You can't gank a Kale. She's got ult. You just let 3 stacks sit on your bottom side jungle without taking them. So like I said, most of the time your pathing is correct, but there's no reason for you to be here. Janna was there. Rift Herald is just sitting there with Janna. You could have taken Rift Herald with Janna at this point. Okay, in my opinion, you're fighting too much and not taking objectives enough. It's working in this game, but I don't see it working in every single game. Go take the Scuttle Crab on the top side. Okay, you don't need to back. Scuttle Crab is up. There's 2 stacks, 3, 4 stacks that you could have gained before backing. And then basically what I would be planning on for the next 2 or 3 minutes now, you need to be focusing on this tower because it's the only one left. So get Scuttle Crab, 2 stacks, 3, 4, maybe even 6 stacks because like 4 members of your team are here, so you might as well take it. So you get all of these stacks before backing. Then you end up almost sated at 19 minutes. Then you get these stacks and you're sated, which is just in time to take the bottom tower. So that was a really, really dumb decision to back. Your team is going to take this without you now, and you're going to lose the stacks. You're coming topside, but your team doesn't have anything to gain in the topside. So you're taking these camps because they're there, but you should have taken them before backing. And it would have given you the opportunity to be bottom side, which is a much more important side for you to be on right now. You're gonna have to blow ult probably. Gragas should have just body slammed you and killed you. I'd say your fighting is pretty strong. Like you're not making, other than honestly your brand fight, like in the early game, where you made the mistake of not activating W, I'd say your fighting is pretty strong. But your pathing, you still don't have sated at 21 minutes, which is a really, really big problem. I like your build path. Because you're probably your team's most primary engage, I think getting a really early what's this freaking Sterak's gauge, I think that's a good idea. You really need to farm some camps, dude. He can kill you. Okay, he screwed up that fight. Still no sated, 23 minutes. Okay, you guys just gotta pick on Caitlyn, so this dragon should be free. You can kill him. Okay, you guys had to blow Kale ult for that, which is fine. You don't need to tower dive this. What are you gaining from this tower dive? Dragon was free anyway because Caitlyn was still dead. What you guys... So... This play mid here to gain 2 kills means you guys are delaying Dragon by... it's been about a minute now. It's been 35 seconds since when Gragas showed up here. Had you taken Dragon, you could have been back in time to stop this. But now he's going to get this tower down to at least half health. Because you guys went and over-engaged, overextended mid. Sure, you killed their frickin' support, but who really cares? Because you got the dragon anyway, and you would have had the dragon without killing their support. But what you're trading for that now is top lane pressure. And he's probably going to get this dead or really close to dead by the time someone can get up there. Because you guys overcommitted to killing their brand. As a jungler, you always need to ask yourself, what do I gain from making this play? What you gained was dragon, but what you would have gained without making the play was dragon as well. She's going to die. Okay. He just ran. If this Darius knew what he was doing, he could probably kill all 3 of them. So anyway, you guys lost top tower because of that. You killed Darius, so it would be a good time to go for Baron, but their whole team is here, so you do need to stop them somehow. One way to stop them is by putting up wards, which you don't really have the option of doing. I think red sweeping lens is definitely good, but in solo queue, I really more prefer warding totems because I think gaining vision in solo queue is more important than denying it. Something that your build is missing right now is another on-hit effect. Basically Runans. Although you can also go Blade of the Ruined King. With their team comp, I would probably get Runans because both Darius and Gragas are going to be like on top of you. So with like 2 significant melee threats, I like Runans. If they all don't have melee threats, then I like getting Blade of the Ruined King. So if you have to 1v1 duel someone. That was a really, really good ult. Dang. It's a shame that you guys lose this fight anyway. And because Vlad got to the fight so late. Let me go back. Yeah, so you're scrapping here in the mid lane. First of all, why are you scrapping? Right now it looks to you like a 3v3. But Vladimir's super far away, so it's gonna stay a 3v3. He died probably a couple seconds ago. With your ADC dead, yeah, he's dead right here. With your ADC dead, you need to focus not on fighting. Because best case scenario, it's a 3v3, but worst case scenario, it's a 3v5. And their Brand and Caitlyn are somewhere, but they're probably in this fog here coming up to kill you. Because they just pushed down the bottom lane. So, I would focus on disengaging this. You have Janna ult. So Janna can ult them, like you guys can get in a position for Janna to ult them away, and then you can just like run. And that's probably what I would do here. I think instead you think that it's a good fight to take. But Vladimir's gone. He's teleporting. That was still a super nice Kindred ult. Yeah, so Brandon and Caitlyn come out from where I expected, which was in this fog of war. And then they win simply because they're here and Lucian can't be. That ace is going to cost you guys a lot. Okay, it only costed you one turret because most of their team backed off. They should have gotten 2 from that. You need to be focusing on Baron control over the next few minutes. Yasuo overextended for no reason. You guys have no ward on Baron at all. Vladimir is split pushing without teleport. That play, them getting Baron was mostly Yasuo and Vladimir's fault. It is good of you guys to try and gain a couple kills on the back end. That flash was useless. Don't flash to kill a Caitlyn. She's gonna get away from you. She's got way better disengage tools. Your Yasuo keeps getting caught. Him getting caught is probably going to cost you the game, but there's still things you could do. Oh, it is really hard to make plays without like your team's most important power, which is your Yasuo. Like without him being alive, it's hard, but you still can. Right now, Dragon's up, and I think you guys should have been proactively positioned for Dragon rather than like right when it spawns. You should have been there before. So far, this is a good fight to take. You're the one who let Lucian die. The Kayle AoE from on you killed Lucian. You should have split away from him, but so you guys get a clean ace. I hope you guys get the inhibitor turret for this. You should pay more attention to the death timers when you take these turrets. With Home Guard being like guaranteed in this season, it only takes about 3.5 seconds to get from base to a turret. So you should pay a little bit more attention, especially someone like Darius who can dish out so much burst in 1 second. You should. I said I hope you can get the inhibitor, but don't risk yourself dying to get it. Because what that cost you, you were trying to get their bottom lane inhibitor turret, and in exchange they took yours instead. So right now, if you need to look at the map and decide what plays am I going to make. Not really much to make, honestly. Wait out the next 120 seconds. Get lanes, like basically you want your team to get top and mid pushed out past Baron, past River, so that you guys have good coverage of Baron. Unfortunately, now this isn't your fault because you have 0 wards at all, but your team is investing all of these wards in defensive control over Baron, which is kind of silly. What you want is offensive control over Baron. So you want to ward in this brush, maybe in this choke point instead of this brush. You maybe want to smite their wolf to gain that ghost. This is a good ward to have, but I would like to see 1 or 2 more pieces of vision in their jungle here for control over Baron. That's what you need to focus on in the 2 minutes leading up to Baron, because vision equals free kills. It looks like Lucian gets caught out somehow. Yeah, so Lucian's trying to... This is his own mistake. Oh, no. It's not. You're trying to gank Caitlyn with 4 of them missing from the map. Brand just showed up on the map. So at best, in your view, this is a 2v2. She's not caught out if it's a 2v2. At worst, it's a 5v2. And because 3 of them are missing, you need to assume that they're all right here or right here. You need to make that assumption. So this is not you catching Caitlyn. This is actually you getting yourselves caught out. You had to flash again for no reason. So ultimately it was a 3v2 because Gragas showed up. I don't think that you should have taken that fight. This is too important. You're literally going to lose Baron now because you're going for a high risk play, which is you're risking your own AD carry's life for maybe killing their AD carry. And high risk plays are not to be made 1 minute before Baron spawns because now they have 2 kills off of it. They get this Baron for free again, and that Baron is probably going to cost you guys the game. Okay, Baron's up in 8 seconds and you're going down here. You are literally your team's only hope at killing Baron. And it's actually a pretty easy steal for Kindred. As Kindred, you can sit here, pop your ultimate, Q over the wall. Well, pop your ultimate and Wolf, Q over the wall, smite Baron, and then Q back. And while your ultimate's going, they can't kill you. You needed to have tried to go for that Baron steal play. Send someone else here. Vladimir has goddamn teleport, so he should have just been here on his own. Like, he should just know that, because he's a top laner, and top laners are supposed to know that. But you getting this farm is going to cost you guys the game. You guys kind of already lost the game at this point because Lucian died in this mid lane pick. But you guys had a sliver of hope in you hopping this wall here to smite Baron. Now that you're here, your guys' hope is completely gone. What I would have done as Kindred is just let this tower fall. Like, you guys are basically up against a wall here. Like, if they get Baron, you guys lose because your base is wide open, and because they have a Kayle who just does Kayle things. So yeah, this wave here is gonna cost you guys the game. I'm gonna slow down this. Oh, you got there in time. Wait, did you smite Baron? You smited Baron in your own Kindred ult. I'm just gonna let that sink in. Their support got the kill, which means if you had actually saved smite for after your ult, you could have gotten the smite. Yeah, and then you guys lose the game. Okay, so first of all, I just want to reflect on the way that this game ended is really common in this meta, and I hate it. I hate this meta because you can be even slightly ahead, but 1 kill onto your AD carry in the mid game means they get Baron and 3 turrets. And unfortunately, you didn't have 3 turrets. You had 2 turrets, so they got Baron and your Nexus. So you just have to be aware of that. In a jungler in this meta, don't make high risk plays in the mid game. Yeah, if you had killed their Caitlyn, it would have been the other way around, and you could have taken Baron and taken their base. But you're risking the game against the game. And in my opinion, I don't like taking that risks, because that means you're going to have a 50% win rate, because you have a 50% chance of killing their Caitlyn and a 50% chance of not. What I would rather see is taking these 70-30 plays. So that play that you made in the mid lane, probably not the best one because it was more 50-50, and it was actually probably against your favor. It was probably more 30-70. What I would rather see, especially when you're not behind, is just making vision, controlling vision, continuing to hold out, wait for vision, wait to kill them. Once you kill them, then you can make a play. So in your mid game, unfortunately, that one single play in the mid game where Lucian ended up dying, and then Yasuo ended up dying, costed you guys a crap load of pressure, and then it pretty much just happened again. So try and focus on, in the mid game, focus on making smarter plays. Now in the early game, you were all over the map, and overall I would say your early game pathing was pretty strong. Up until you got Devourer at least, where you were making good use of your jungle, you were making good ganks. The ganks that you were choosing to make were very favorable, where you're not forcing them, you made natural, good gank paths. And so overall I would say your pathing in the early game was pretty strong. The biggest mistake you made in the early game was not taking this tower when you could have, which would have been a nice gold spike for your team. But other than that, like one decision in the early game, I'd say not a big deal. Once you got Devourer, I don't like Devourer jungles personally because it's such a mid-game focused game right now. And if a jungler is AFK farming between 13 and 18 minutes, they're missing out on a lot of potential fights. But you need to be able to make that decision. That being said, you blatantly just backed without clearing camps when fights were done, where you would take a fight and win them and then back instead of clearing your camps. And you got sated really late, which in this game didn't really make any big difference, mostly because they have a Kayle who's got a really, really, really bad mid game. But you need to focus on getting your sated a lot faster. If you get it at 20 minutes, you need to consider that a failure. If you get it at 23 minutes, you need to consider that an epic failure. A good game for me, I get sated at about 15:30. An average game is at about 17:30. So, with Kindred, because Kindred's one of my most played champs. So just focus on that. One small thing doesn't make a huge difference because this game was all decided on one mistake. But with your build, you're missing on-hit effects. And I would like to get an on-hit effect as my third or fourth item, no later than fourth. So it's got to be put in there somewhere. So you're investing heavily in defensiveness with Mob Malmortius and with Styrax. I think you kind of have to with your team comp because you have no tanks, so you're kind of the front line. But maybe instead of Dominic's, you could have gotten another on-hit item, like Runan's Hurricane. And I talked earlier why I like Runan's in this game. You could have also gotten Blade of the Ruined King to better scrap with someone. I don't... It definitely didn't cost you guys the game. Your build path was mostly good. It's just something worth pointing out. Yeah, other than that, I would say that you have good, strong strengths. Your aggressiveness is really strong. Your team fighting is really strong. As Kindred, you seem to actually understand how to team fight, which I think most Kindreds don't. Which is why the champions got a deceptively low win rate, is because people don't play her right in fights. So I'd say you have good team fighting. And once you fix up all the decision making, I think you'll be able to have much more success. So anyway, I think that's about it for this video. Feel free to submit another one if you would like. I would be more than happy to take a look at it. And good luck in the future.